Working with the setup of a page is very simple in Cornerstone, and it's all done through the design mode. Let's check it out. First, I open the toolbar here, and if I have the rights to put the page into design mode, I will have the switch here which says enter design mode. So I do that, and when I do that, some things happen. Get some dotted lines around certain areas where we have placed module windows, and also on the toolbar this icon is changed slightly and it now says revert to live mode, which I can of course do. Okay, so it's a switch, a toggle between design mode and live mode. So I go back to design mode and I get all these dotted lines here, which are zones. Zones are where we put the module windows, basically. So each theme, based on what the designer has instructed or decided to support, is where you're allowed to put module windows, and it also, of course, gives some restrictions as to the width of your, and possibly also the height of your module windows. One other thing we have is the toolbar. Right now it was to the very far side here. So this is the toolbar. You can minimize it, you can maximize it like this, and you can drag it around. And the toolbar is divided into 3. The modules are here so that I have this as a palette to place all these in the list here are module windows that I can place on the page, and they're sorted by modules. So the list here is the same as the list on the toolbar here, but the purpose right here is to provide the module windows that you can choose to place on the page, and we'll see that in just a minute. Here is the menu tree. So these are all the pages of the current website. And here are page properties, which is the page properties of the current page. That's the subject of a separate video, so we will not go into neither menu tree nor page properties here. But modules we will look at closer. But for now, let's push this one to the side and minimize it. So we have module windows placed in zones. So this module window here is a horizontal menu, and it's placed in its own zone at the top. Here we have a gallery browser module window. Here we have an image. Here we have a status module window. Here we have a wall. Here we have a text box. Here we have a contact information module window. And when I hover these module windows, of course they perform like normal, but also they get this blue cube on top of them. I can click it and the entire module window is marked in a slight blue. And I have several things here. I can go into properties, which I will not go into in this video. That's the subject of a more detailed module windows video. I can make this sticky, or not sticky, which means that it will appear in this zone on all subpages. I can make it visible or hide it. That's a simple toggle on-off for visibility. It will always be visible in design mode, but in live mode, if it's not visible, it will not be displayed. And I can of course remove it, that is, delete it completely. So all module windows have these, and they're only accessible in design mode. So go into detailed properties, which are very different for each kind of module window. Make it sticky to show it on subpages, make it visible to toggle that on off, or remove it. Okay, so what can we do? We can take this module window and we can drag it to, for instance, another zone, or we can take a module window and drag it to a different place in the same zone. So I can drag this up, I can drag this one up, etc. Or I can of course move it over here And as you saw, it tried to adapt to the size of the zone. I can drag this over here again. And let's see what happens if we want to have a new module window, because this is what happens when we drag the existing ones around. So let's find the toolbox here and the first tab, and let me find, for instance, news feeds. Instantly we have some news, and I can make it visible. Also, into properties, I will only show some generic features of properties that all the module windows have, called box. I can make a border, I can make a title, news. And I can make it, yeah, it's already visible. So, or I can move it over here, for instance, news. So we have the blue cubes for all module windows. You can drag the module windows around in the zone, between the zones. From the toolbox you can add module windows. Remember to set them visible when you're ready. Go into the properties for the individual module window to configure it to your need or your liking. And you're good to go. So the design mode is what makes the flexibility of the Cornerstone user interface. So you can just have the toolbox as your palette and just drag and drop everything in place, configure it visually on screen. The only restriction is what the designer has allowed you to do based on where are the zones, what's the shape of the zones, and what is the background look like, and what styles to the module windows appear with in matter of fonts and such stuff. So this is how you work layout wise with a design. Not the basic design principles, that is done by the designer in the theme. Okay, so I'll go back to live mode again, like this.